S&P 500 made a brand new high today of $738.07, but it was a huge waste of a day for me today. I'm a huge options trader, and I strictly trade with chart patterns and indicators. And this was one of the disgusting days I ever had. Although I did not take a single trade. Thank God I didn't take a single trade like that. I didn't lose money. If I would have placed trades, I would have lost a lot of money today. So thank God I did not place any trades. With that said, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let's break down the daily chart to see what happened, why I couldn't trade today. Now, before I start explaining the daily chart, you have to understand we had so many great opportunities today. Looking at the 1 minute chart, so many great opportunities throughout the whole entire chart. The problem is we never got the full picture. We never got a full chart where we can enter or exit. It just makes no sense. If you were playing stock today, no problem. The whole entire market was literally up. Looking at all sectors, it was crazy. Absolutely insane market. The S&P even made a brand new high of $738.07. But for options traders, somebody that's a technical trader like me, it just made no sense. Now let's jump in. Let's do it very quickly. Let's go to first. Let's start from the pre-market all the way into market open for about 9:13 into around right over here. This is at 9:41. We got a double bottom over here. We have one loop over here and then two. You see this double bottom. So we made a trend line going all the way across from here, going all the way up, just like that. So now I don't want to continue anymore on the SPY. I want to go to SPX, to the S&P 500 index, because it's a way better, way easier to explain the whole entire chart. So let's just transfer. But I had to just show you this because of Mumu. There's no pre-market or aftermarket in SPX, only in SPY. So in order to see this first trade, we had to just show you from pre-market over here. We hit this double bottom, and then we made a trend line across. Now let's go to SPX, and I'll show you in SPX the same exact thing. Now, to tell you the honest truth, I was about to enter in this trade. Here we are in SPX. We made the same exact trend line as we had in SPY. And you'll realize that towards the end of the video why I changed to SPX. But let's just continue first with the charts. We made a nice fresh trend line going all the way across above the chart. And normally how it would work is that as long as we wouldn't break below the trend line, we would still be in calls, and options in calls going all the way up until we get the sell signal. The problem was that we had too slow of movement. So if you would have entered here right away, no problem. You could have sold, you could have made some money. But again, I don't like entering right away. I like seeing the full picture. Once I get the full confirmation, I'm going to be entering. This doesn't give me the full confirmation. The full confirmation gives me like right over here. But the problem is we went slow and go back down. And the movements were pretty slow as well in the morning. So I honestly missed this trade. Although this would have been my best trade if I would have done today, or maybe towards the end of the day. I'll show you guys in a few minutes. But first, let's just break down the whole entire chart. So here we got our sell signal. The second we left over here below the trend line, we got our sell signal, and that's where we came all the way down here. So let's move forward down to the chart. If you make the broader picture over here, you see we have a nice double bottom. But the problem is our signal did not form. We have here one over here, and then we have two over here. These two floors, right? I just made those two lines. So let's get rid of this trend line. Let's make a very clear chart. Let's zoom out. You see over here, we have one floor over here and another floor. So this is our double bottom. A double bottom looks like more or less like a W, right? And then we have double tops. I'll show you guys in a few minutes. And towards the end of the market, we have that. But let's first focus on our double bottom, why I couldn't enter is because, okay, so first let me explain why I didn't enter over here. I didn't enter over here because I wanted to see full, nice, big, huge red candles. The problem was it was pretty much shifting. It was pretty good, but like the time I paid attention to it, it was holding right over here. So I couldn't enter over here because like I would more or less miss the trade already. So like, what should I do? In the money contracts, out the money contracts, 0 days to expiration, 1 day to expiration. What should I do? The market is also trending upwards. And you're looking at VWAP. It's showing you, according to VWAP, it was a pretty good day, no problem, because everything was like more or less above VWAP, except for like towards the end of the market right over here, but which we'll get to that in a few minutes. So I had a ton of mixed signals. If I have mixed signals, I can't enter now. I cannot afford to lose money. I mean, every trader has to lose money in order to be successful, right? But like, don't just gamble your money. You have to actually focus. Be prepared for the entry and exit points. So I was waiting this out. I saw this double bottom here form, no problem. So over here, this was just chop. Also, like there was no signals there, so I couldn't do anything about it as well. So I finally get this double bottom over here. The problem is, in order for the double bottom to be accurate, we have to go actually above our midpoint over here. So right over here, in order to break our next level. The problem is we never broke. And same thing in the morning, we never broke. Let's make a broader picture over here. We just never broke. We never broke. So it makes no sense. Why would I enter into such a thing that I can lose all my money? Like whatever I'm going to be trading inside, right? It just made no sense. So we had to have a lot of patience. Although here there was a nice V shape and I could have entered as well. Again, I was an action. I didn't want to enter in because I wanted to get a full, broader, brighter picture. And luckily I didn't enter in here. Although I keep on explaining with V shapes, whenever you see V shapes, run away right away because they last for just like this is the 1 minute chart, right? So you have 1, 2, 3 minutes, and then we came all the way back down. So like if you would have entered it here, like whatever over here, you'd probably been in a loss because if you're doing zero dash expiration, the high risk, high reward, you know what I mean? So it was crazy, But for some people, it worked out when they went across all the way down here because they made a trend line all the way down over here, and then once we came left from this green candle, we went further from the trend, then you know they were going to go all the way down. And when you see your first green candle, you know to exit out. But again, I also missed this trade. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like I had the most like frustrated day with not trading, just looking. It was crazy, absolutely insane. So now let's get rid of all these trend signals over here, and let's go further. So moving on. So we didn't have anything over here, but the problem is here we have a double top now. See, we have, let's make the line over here. We have one over here, beautiful, and then we have another one over here, beautiful. Fine. So we have one loop and then two loop, and here is like another V shape, or if you want to call it a nose, whatever you want to call it. The problem is we never broke below. So why would I enter? Just like I wouldn't enter in the double bottom, why would I enter in a double top? We never broke below this. Sorry guys. Let's take this out. Let's make this picture bigger. Like you have to understand our full picture here. Let's make this line right over here. You see, we never broke below. If we would have broken below this V-shape right over here from this double top, of course, it would be a great entry signal, and we would probably be ending up by right over here. Let's make the line over here for you guys across for you to understand. Every single minor issue is very important right over here. And then if we would have broken over here, then we might have came back all the way down towards the end of the day. And this usually happens 90% of the time. But the problem is we never got our full signal. So why would I enter into something without a full signal? So I missed this trade again, although I would have made a very small amount of money, but I probably would have lost it because I would have got confused with the signals. Let's get rid of these lines. It's not important right now. And then moving forward, we have a nice upper trend line that you would have made over here, which I didn't realize at all. So again, you have to really break down the picture. Look, so as long as we're above the trend line, you could have been into calls. So if you would have purchased some calls over here and you would have, let's say, shut off your computer and ignore this and sold at the highest peak or like over here, you would have probably be ending up in a plus and not in a minus from your contracts from your options trading and calls. But again, I missed this trade as well because I was focusing on the smaller chart range over here. From you see, like we're coming from a double bottom, entering into a double top now, and it makes no sense. And by the way, I keep on mentioning this also in my video. The bigger the pattern, the bigger the upper trend or the downer trend, right? The thing is, we had a very wide double bottom over here, very wide, but we never broke above, so it's not an entry signal. And then we have over here a very small double top, but we never broke below, so it's not either an entry signal for puts, so we're all confused. So again, I missed this trend line as well. I'm just showing you guys, you have to focus really on the charts. So now let's get rid of this. Now you understand. Oh no, let's go back to there. That's very important. Let's bring it back. Sorry guys, a bit confusion here. This is very important. I'll tell you why. Because if I would have made this trend line, I would have gotten the signal over here. I would have been able to purchase puts over here and go there. But thank God I missed this trade again. I'll tell you why. Because look at this chart. In the end, we got another double bottom over here, and we broke above. And it was beautiful, but then at the end, we came all the way crashing down. I'm going to be explaining all of this in a minute. So if you would have made this trend line, this would be a false trend line. So thank God I missed this trend line. Although I thought I didn't miss it. I thought I did miss it as in a bad way, that I missed the trade. But if you're looking at the brighter picture, thank God I didn't see it. So now let's go further to the chart. Here we have a double bottom, the same chart that we had before. Let's make our trends over here. We have one floor right over here, and then we have another floor right over here, okay? Right over here. Sorry, guys. Like more or less right over here. One and then two here. And exactly. And here's our nose in the midpoint right over here. So you see, we broke above this. We broke above this. So which just means this gave me the confirmation that I can enter in. The problem is I was too scared to enter. I'll tell you why. Because the volatility wasn't so high. It was pretty low today. There's no big movements really. I mean, there's pretty big candles, so you could have technically made some money. Problem is we got twice full signals in the same kind of patterns. We have a double bottom, the same exact thing, and then a double top the opposite way. This is for calls and this is for puts. So why would I enter into here? That's what my brain was telling me. Like it couldn't process. Like why would I enter in here? So I missed this trade, of course, again, and I could have cashed in over here from this trade. Probably made the most money from this trade if I would have entered, but I didn't enter. So you make a trend line from the bottom over here, going all the way on the top, and this is where it tells you the confirmation when to sell. Okay, so let's look at this picture right over here. Okay, so we broke above, right? We broke above our resistance. It turned into a support, no problem. We climb all the way above. Now, of course, you don't have the confirmation never to sell over here, so you can't really sell from the highest point. But at least you can sell right over here. So if you would have entered from the lowest or from the confirmation over here, you would have still made some money. Okay, and this is where a lot of traders really get confused. The second you go below the trend line, you have to sell. For those of you that traded in this trade, we're pretty lucky because you have a pretty small candle. Let's make over here a circle. See right over here. we have a candlestick, a hammer, where it's the least bearish. It ended up bearish, but you see, look, we have a big, huge line, and then a small gap where it closed in. So you had 60 seconds to exit your calls and enter into puts if you wanted, because you got your signals. And then from there, you know when to exit. Let's just get rid of this trend line. Let's get rid of this white box, and let's make our trend line for down right over here. You could have made our trend line like this, aligning it straight forward. And then once you saw your first massive big green candle, you could have sold. The problem is this is also really confusing. I'll tell you why, because you have two huge candles, green candles over here. Although we had one red candle, but you don't know it's going to come here. So a lot of people would make the opposite trend line, going from the top all the way down to the bottom, and then exit here. But the problem is this makes no sense. See, just look, makes no sense. You're in your gap, no problem, but you don't know when to enter and to exit. You know what I mean? You're in your gap, so it really makes no sense. So you kept on getting false signals the whole entire day. Let's get rid of this, let's get rid of this, let's get rid of this, and let's continue with the chart. So let's look at the broader picture right over here. What is this all telling you over here? Very simple. We actually had the best trade I could have made today was we have a huge double top starting from here, from this side right over here, right? From our double bottom, actually, where it's giving us a signal for our double top, which happens very often, but my brain couldn't process it today because I was so confused. And I'll tell you where our double top is. Our double top is one loop right over here, and the second loop right over here. You see? Right over here. So we have two loops. One, the nose, the V shape, and then two. So now people that would make this trend line down here would get confused on these signals with purchasing puts. But the thing is, it would be actually pretty good for you in the bright future for the charts in a few minutes later. I'll tell you why, because here we created a V shape. And this is where you get your entry and exit for future contracts. So a lot of people would purchase puts here and then calls over here. If you make a shape like, let's say, like a triangle, and then once we align perfectly in, you would exit in. But again, this is really meant for really professional traders that know exact entry and exit points. People, for beginners, do not enter into V-shapes, because I'm telling you now, you can lose all your funds. Watch really out what you're doing. But the point over here, what it's telling you is that as soon as we got over here, let's get rid of this line over here. That shouldn't be so confusing. Second, we got over here. See, it's aligning perfectly up. The second we got out of the trend, you knew to buy puts, and you're able to see that this is a double bottom. Let's get rid of this V shape over here, and then let's make again our double top over here. See, so again, we started off over here. We have our first loop over here. Our second loop we have right over here. Okay, so technically you're also able to keep your calls from here all the way down till here. But again, most people wouldn't, because there would be full signals. Why would it go even higher up? So you'd be all confused. At the end of the day, we had our perfect entry into puts because of this trend line right over here that we made from the V shape previously that I showed you. Let's make it again to explain it one more time right over here. And you would have entered over here by this minor small. Let's get rid of this trend line. Let's make a white circle over here. You would have entered into this right over here, this bullish candle, or even the bearish. You had petty small candles to enter in to give you the perfect timing. You had between 2 to 5 minutes, literally till over here, to enter in, and that's where you crash down all the way through. Let's get rid of this whole entire chart, and let's make a brand new chart line across, where here we cracked on our V shape and our nose, whatever you want to call it, support resistance right over here. And this is where you got your confirmation that we're going to make a newer low, because we cracked right over here. This candle gave us the confirmation that we're going to go below, and because you purchased it right over here, yeah, you could have made a real big killing. But again, I missed this trade again because I was so frustrated from the entire day. I just couldn't place any trades. And then our second floor would be right over here, because this is our support resistance for the whole chart. You have to look at the brighter picture. And then our third floor would be right over here. But the problem is we didn't even reach over there. We almost reached it. If we would have reached over here past this one, we could have made a newer low for the day. Very possibly we could have reached all the way down till here. That's where we come to the starting point of the day. But again, that didn't happen. So in this case, the market is we're still in the middle of the market session trading now. It's the 3:23 p.m. I'm just starting to explain this. So while the market is still trading, I can explain to you the next part, where here we have another V shape. So that we had like 3-4 V shapes today. It was crazy. You have one over here, yeah, V shape, forming a V shape, and then here was our confirmation. The first, second, you see your green candle, you're out of here, and this is where you have our V shape, and this is where people would purchase. The second they see the big green candle, they would purchase calls, and they would wait it up until this stops. And this would stop, assuming, I mean, I might be wrong over here, but again, this is usually what happens, is when we either will stop right over here at this line, or we'll stop at this line for giving you for confirmation. And we know because of these two candles sticking out, this hammer over here and this sticking out right over here, and that would be your end of your V shape. Or we can go make a newer low down here and then create another double top, or it can be considered even a triple top. 1, 2, and then 3 right over here, and then making a newer low. The market is crazy, absolutely insane. That's all I have to tell you guys today. The reason why I couldn't trade. I hope you learned a lot from this video. Looking forward to teaching you further.